Take a closer look at this pigeon or dove. It looks like an ordinary pigeon, doesn't it? But no, it's actually a CIA spy. It has a small high-tech camera attached to it. And it's now flying to take pictures of the Soviet Union's nuclear submarine. And that dolphin you're looking at is being trained to plant bombs on enemy ships. Doesn't it sound unbelievable? There's more. Have you seen this crow? It's not just flying. It also has a mission. It's now flying to plant a secret microphone in a KGB agent's hotel room. And this cat has been sent to spy on Chinese diplomats. A microphone has been surgically implanted in its ear. And an antenna has been attached to its tail. Today we'll look at 4 of the world's most amazing missions, which were carried out using animals. But were those missions ultimately successful? And what happened to those animals? So let's get started. First, let's find out why animals are chosen for these secret missions. The funny thing is that animals have some abilities that humans do not have. A dog's sense of smell is 10,000 times stronger than ours. Dolphins can use their echolocation ability to find underwater mines. And the biggest advantage is that animals can easily hide from public view. People will be suspicious if they see a drone. But no one will notice if a pigeon or a crow flies. And that is why it is convenient to use these animals in big missions. For example, Project Excerpt Light. In the 1960s, the CIA started Project Excerpt Light. The goal was to train birds and carry secret equipment from one place to another. But which bird is best suited for this task? Experiments were conducted on different birds. The hawk is strong, but it cannot fly far. The owl can see in the dark, but it is weak in daylight. And then an incredibly talented crow comes to the fore. His name is Duda. This experiment started on San Clemente Island, California. The bird's job was to fly from the island to the boat floating in the sea and back. The distance was challenging. The wind was strong. Most birds could fly up to 1.5 miles at most. But Duda could fly up to 3.5 miles. After just a few months of training, he almost doubled this distance. Not only that, but on each mission he understood at what altitude it would be easier to fight the wind. When local wild birds attacked him, Duda would fly high and avoid them. And when wild crows hid behind the mountains, Duda would fight them and lead them to the sea. After going 1 mile away, the wild crows would return exhausted. Duda was so intelligent that he was taught to recognize specific tables, open drawers, and even carry heavy objects like file folders. The C's plan was that if an agent wanted to record the secret conversations of the enemy, he would point a laser beam at a specific window from a nearby building. Then the trained Duda would be released from the cage. The crow would fly towards the laser beam with the recording device in its beak and place it on the window ledge. Then the agent would light another special lamp and signal to return. Sounds perfect, doesn't it? But in reality, it wasn't that easy. Because crows can't fly properly when they're molting. Moreover, the crow once placed the recording device in the wrong window. And when they later placed it in the right place, the surrounding noise was recorded so much that they couldn't make out their target. Duda's end was also very bad. One day, Duda went on a mission like every day. But 2 wild crows attacked him, with whom he had fought many times before. Suddenly, the 3 birds disappeared from sight. And after that, Duda never returned. It is believed that he died in the battle with those birds. Satellite images from September 1976 show that the Soviets were building a nuclear submarine at Leningrad. But the CIA wanted clearer and closer images. Seaplanes or satellites fly very high. So it was not possible to get detailed images at that time. But pigeons can only fly from a height of 100 feet. And that in the day, at night or in any weather. At the same time, no one would suspect him. So the CIA created a special 16mm camera and a leather harness. The entire setup weighed only 39 grams. The camera had a timer, and it would automatically take 150 to 220 pictures at a fixed time. But the problem was that when the trained pigeons were released, they would return straight home. So the CIA invented the ABC flight system. That means point A, i.e. from where the pigeons will be released, point B, i.e. the target, and point C is the pigeon's nest. The pigeons are taught to fly to point B and then return to point C. Only then will they get food. Training also takes place in several places. 3 methods are also planned. The pigeons are released for the mission from under a large overcoat. 2 briefcases or shopping bags were released from the false floor, and 3 cars were parked by making holes in the floor, and the pigeons would come out from under the car and then fly away. But the results were not as expected because many pigeons were lost in those missions, some were killed by wild birds, and some were even hit by cars. Yes, disappearing with thousands of dollars of equipment was also a costly loss. Project Exegas in 1964, an engineer named James Fitzgerald said at a party that it was possible to use dolphins in warfare. A Navy admiral heard about it. He introduced him to the CIA. And at the same time, a show called Flipper started on TV, where dolphins would arrest criminals. It all seemed like a coincidence. Anyway, the CIA started Project Exegas. The goal was to attack enemy ships with dolphins. Special harnesses and nose guns were made for the dolphins, so that they could carry explosives. A sea officer had drawn the entire mission, as if it were a drawing. The dolphins happily hauled the bomb while the trainers stood on top of the submarine and watched. The first test was a success. A dolphin carried a fake explosive and attached it to the ship's propeller. But the information about what kind of explosive the dolphin was carrying has been kept secret. Some experts suspect that the CIA may have thought of carrying small nuclear bombs. Dolphins are also now used to install secret microphones on enemy submarines, so that the sound of the submarine's engine can be recorded. But training dolphins is quite difficult, because they are social animals and they only start working when they form a bond with a trainer. It also takes a long time for them to form a bond with a new agent when sent into the field. Project Acoustic Kitty. The most controversial and mysterious of all the projects is Project Acoustic Kitty, the CIA's cat program. In 1964, the CIA wanted to listen to agents in open spaces. That means recording Soviet agents without arousing suspicion. The solution is cats. Because when a cat walks around, no one suspects. According to the CIA's plan, a microphone is surgically implanted in the ear of a cat. Transmitter under the skin and antenna inside the fur. The whole process was safe. The cat was not harmed. But a cat is a cat. It does what it wants. You can't get it to do much with training. Yes, the funny thing is that in the end, the ecstatic kitty never went into the field. But a former CIA officer named Victor Marchetti gives different information. He says that the cat was really sent to France to keep an eye on a Chinese diplomat. He had wires implanted in his brain so that he wouldn't be distracted by hunger and sexual attraction. A battery pack was also placed in his stomach. And then the cat was sent to listen in on conversations across the street. But when the poor thing was crossing the street, a taxi came and ran him over. Before he could get into the field, $25 million was lost. However, the CIA still denies that claim. March said that it was all a joke. But whether it was true is unknown.